Hello, my friends. Today I'm going to talk about how to set up a continuous duty solenoid so that you can charge your house batteries from your engine, from your alternator. So the first thing you need to consider is what you're going to use. Like what materials. You need big, thick cables. I recommend no more than 4 gauge, preferably like 2 or 0. They're kind of like welding cables, or one idea I've had in the past, and I've done in the past, is used jumper cables, bought some from Walmart. However, I recommend reconsidering that idea. You can buy pre-crimped cables on Amazon that are 4 feet each. And see, the problem is if you buy the one, if you use a jumper cable, then you got to crimp those terminals on. Unless you have a crimping tool, things get a little bit challenging. And of course, trying to save money, I'm not going to buy like a $40 crimping tool for one project. In the past, I have used a torch, like a little butane torch, but that was a little freaky because you got this blue flame sticking out, and I never did that before. So those are options, but if you can just buy it pre-crimped, you save yourself some headache. And up in Canada, the good quality jumper cables from Walmart are like $40, and 2 4 feet cables that are pre-crimped on Amazon are $42. So, you know, by the time you buy the stuff to do the crimping and the crimps themselves and the solder and the torch, I mean, it ends up being more expensive to make your own from the cables. So that's a consideration. However, keep your batteries as close to the front as possible. If I would have thought of this, I probably would have put my batteries in a different spot. Mine are kind of halfway between the front and the back. Luckily, in a sense, the Ford Transit has the driver battery under the front seat. Now, in some ways, that's a pain in the neck, because eventually I'm going to have to change that battery, and you have to have a special tool, and you got to take the seat off, and yada yada yada. But the positive is, I don't have to drill through my firewall of my vehicle to get cables through from the engine to the back, because the front seat houses the battery. So it also means I can use shorter cable. So what I did, I used 2 4-foot cables and connected them together with a fuse. Now, the fuse that I used is called an ANC fuse, and they're 100 amps, and you just take one end of the terminal, stick it on the fuse, take the other end, stick it on the fuse, and you have a connection that's fused. Super important to fuse the cables, because if that cable does get hot, it could start a fire if it's not fused. If it gets too hot, the fuse will blow, and it's much better to have to replace a fuse than deal with a fire. So you get a fuse between the 2 4-foot cables. Now you have an 8-foot cable. Then you need 2 smaller cables, and you have, it could be 18 inches, it could be 12 inches, whatever. One is, say, 1 foot, and the other one's another foot, and then you put the ANC fuse in the middle. Now you have 2-foot cable. So the next thing you need is an auxiliary fuse holder. And you stick 1 fuse in the top and 1 fuse that's already in the spot. So it's the hardest part of this whole thing is figuring out which fuse you're going to use in your vehicle. This energizes the solenoid, so it's absolutely mandatory. Now, you want to do is you want to use the small value fuse at the top and a higher value fuse at the bottom. The higher value fuse is the one that's originally with the vehicle. So for instance, I use the airbag fuse. I'm probably going to find a different one because airbags apparently can be a bit finicky, and the last thing I want is my airbag to blow up. So I'm probably going to find a different spot for that. I haven't done it yet. But anyway, so for example, you put the smaller fuse at the top, say one's 5 amps, and then the higher fuse at the bottom, which is 10 amps. Therefore, everything's fine. Now, there's some question about whether you can put the same value fuse on both the top and the bottom. So one's 10 amps, the top, second slot is 10 amps. That's what I did, and apparently it's okay, but other people are like, well, I'm not so sure. Ideally, you'd want to have the small fuse at the top. So that will charge your solenoid and give it power. Now, it's super important when you pick your fuse that you're going to use that it's only on when the vehicle is on. If you can use the instrumentation or whatever it is, equipment in the vehicle, when the vehicle is off, that's not what you want to use. You want the solenoid to be off when the vehicle is off. So only powered when the ignition is on. Once you've established which fuse does that, I recommend looking at a chart of your vehicle's fuse panel and trying to find one that's appropriate level. I picked 10 amps, and that is on only when the ignition is on. The next thing you need is a continuous duty solenoid. Now, some solenoids are different. I recommend buying the best one you can afford. You know, it could be in service for a long time, so you want it to perform well. Another option is to use something called a battery isolator, which has diodes and more electrical components. I decided not to do that because I wanted to keep it simple. To me, simple is better, less chance of something breaking. Okay, forgive the complete mess. I'm building a van right now, so everything's everywhere, no storage, etc., etc. This right here is the positive cable, positive terminal, that's going all the way back through here, under there, to the front of the van. Okay, here's the continuous duty solenoid. This is that cable that comes off the positive terminal of the house battery from the back, connected to there. And this is the cable that is attached to the positive car battery, which is under the seats. See if I can show you here. Right there. Yonder. And this is the ground, which is just screwed into the side of the van as a ground, the metal, sheet metal. And then this is the power cable that turns this baby on. Now, this is a little bit messed up because I should have moved this over more so there wasn't this little bendy bit here. It's putting strain on there. I don't really like that. So I'm probably going to move it over more. What else I might try is just switching these two. So I put the house battery on this side right now, but I could put the car battery on this side and the house battery on this side. But if I do that, I don't know if it's going to work. So I got to try it. So finally, this little red wire is the auxiliary fuse that's plugged into my fuse panel via the airbag. So everything's working. No problems yet. So now I've shown you the parts you need to hook up your alternator to your house battery to charge it, and how to do it. That being said, you may not want to. I'm going to explain all of that in the next video, why a solenoid may not be a good idea for you. Thanks for watching. Be well, my friends.